Hi, Marcel, the Wood Butcher, again. This one is a really serious video for any of you people that are using reclaimed lumber and taking apart old furniture like I do, or old little chests and stuff like that. This one happens to be cedar with some stain on it, but I ran across something while I want to use the top of it and the sides, because they are cedar, for the lids on birdhouses. Yes, I make a lot of birdhouses. And no, I didn't fall off a flying saucer from another planet. That is my respirator. Because let me inform some people that might not know, when you're dealing with some of the older reclaimed woods, you, especially like the cedars and the exotic dark woods and stuff like that, the dust is toxic and can really harm you. I mean, it can give you lung infections and stuff like this. This is why you use Mr. Respirator. Okay? But I wanted to share this with you because I started this off with a 5-inch orbital sander with 80 grit sandpaper on it, and I thought it would do the job. And since I can never change this damn camera around, I'm going to show you what I ran into, okay? The orbital sander I started with, this guy right here, you know, it's a decent one. It's a skill, right? That's 80 grit sandpaper on there. You can see was a new piece. The filter, I think you can see it. I'm trying to watch the screen while I'm bending my head. You know, is cleaning everything up. I don't know what. Anyway, but here's what I ran across. When you look at the wood, I think I have it. You can see that I started to notice some black lines in there, and where I pried the old glued-on, stapled-on pieces of wood, and those black lines indicate something to me. It's called black mold. Black mold, depending on how old the piece is, how abused it was, if that goes much farther through, it's going to turn into firewood. Okay? So what I decided to do was to break out the big boy. Let me try to tap this thing and see if it works. Well, you guys know it never does. So what I decided to break out was the belt sander with 40 grit sandpaper on it. Now, with 40 grit sandpaper, I'm probably going to take off between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch of wood. But I don't care. The thickness doesn't matter to me. I want to see these black marks. I'm sorry, I got my fat fingers in the way. These black marks gone. You can see where I tried with the 80 grit and where I haven't done anything yet. I got up to that point and said, Mr. Orbital Sander, who's very reliable, just isn't going to cut the mustard. So we're going to put him. But yeah, you're going to get to see one of my sloppy corners here. He's going back where he belongs, right behind the the famous bench sander. Okay? And we're going to use the belt sander with 40 grit. Two things you want to know about when you're using a belt sander. Number one, they're extremely aggressive, especially, and hold it right. Otherwise, it'll give you one hell of a manicure, which I had found the hard way, but it wasn't my fingernails. It was over the top of my hand about a year ago. But go with the grain at first, because this thing is going to be aggressive. Go with the grain first. When you're using a 40 grit, unless the wood is really uneven, you know, go with the grit, and then go down to your 80 grits and stuff like that to soften it up. I want to see, how reusable this piece of wood is. So I'm going to I'm going to perform it with the heavy belt sander, a good amount of pressure, and 40 grit sandpaper. And we'll post part 2 of this when I'm done. But when you sand stuff like this, please, please, always wear not just one of them little white bullshit dust masks, but I mean a respirator. An OSHA certified respirator. You're going to do yourself a favor. There's a lot of times where, well, let's see, I use these guys when I'm using the router, but that one doesn't count. It's for the service. I got to clean it up. But there's a lot of times I actually use this guy. It's a set of goggles with a full face shield on it. When I'm doing stuff like this, well, with this I'm not going to use it because I'm not sawing. All I'm doing is sanding. So I'm not going to use it. I'm not trying to plane or whatever. But a lot of times I'll use this. The only downside of using something like this, your face is 100% protected. Your eyes are 100% protected. However, you're not going to fit one of these guys, a respirator that's going to protect your innards, as Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies would say it. And I really don't want to end up in one of her pots. As, she always cooks possum innards, but I don't want to end up being, a new dish that she discovered called woodworking innards. So, and then I use just these sometimes. For today's project, I'm going to be using these. Yes, because, like I said, as soon as I see those black stains in there, you don't want to be breathing that crap. You don't want the shellac in your lungs. You don't want the cedar dust in your lungs or anything like that. It'll probably be a second video that I show you how this worked, but let's hope for the best. For right now, this is Marcel, the wood butcher. I feel funny without a hat. I look like a friggin' alien, but Semper Fi, and we'll see how this 40 grit works out, and if I can salvage this piece of cedar. It's a nice piece, too. It's about a half-inch thick, about 48 inches long, about 28 inches wide. I want to reuse it. We'll see. Take care for now. Stay tuned for part 2.